Hello, everybody. Welcome to another beautiful Monday with us on this 27th of June. This month is almost a wrap, as they say. With 3 more days to go, I am astronumerologist Lloyd Strayhorn here on Live with Lloyd. Alrighty, as you see on the screen is my guest that's be coming up in a moment, Alicia Marie Rivers, who is a mindset coach. So we're going to find out about coaching of the person's mindset. We're also going to be, she's also self-love and self-care educator. That's interesting. They take courses in how to love yourself better and educate yourself in self-care. So I think it's interesting. She's also a certified coach. She's also an addiction counselor. She's also an author, and she's also a great lady through no fault of her own. All righty, before I do that, though, we always do the, hold on one second, folksies. Do this, and whoops, and let me see. Okay, we'll do that. Hi, everybody. How you doing? Before I do the forecast, I want to thank people that did come to see me in Washington at the Cane and Coconut. Great place, great juices. I mean, out of this world. I mean, like, phew. I mean, if you could live off juices, that would be probably one of the places to go. So I think Fatari and some other people that were there. But it was nice. It was very nice, and I thank them very much. Before I bring on my guest, though, as you know, I always talk about the forecast for each day. I think tomorrow's a new moon day, if memory serves me correct. But right now, this is Live with Lloyd, where the joy of numerology is the joy of learning and enlightenment. And please like, share, and subscribe. Also, submit comments, too. Comments, good, bad, or indifferent, whatever the case is. I think I can take it. I mean, that's the only way I can learn and grow. Nothing is always 100% absolute other than death and taxes. But over and above that, I think I can deal with it. But this is Monday, the 27th of June, 2022. The sun is in Cancer. The moon is in Gemini. In fact, the moon will be void of course. I think it's now up until late tonight. When the moon is void of course, it means it's wandering. It's not quite in one sign or yet the other sign, which is why astrologers normally don't make major moves around now. It's a 3 universal month. It's a 7 universal week, a 3 universal day. So if you happen to be a Pisces or a Sagittarius or Aries or Scorpio or Leo, or if you're born on the 3rd, the 9th, the 12th, or the 18th, like my guest, so the 21st, 27th, or 30th of any month, this is your time. Okay, this is a good day for you. And so what I'm going to do is about to bring on my guest in just a moment, and I think we will do it right now. Okay, here we go. Alicia, how you doing, lady?
Hello, love. How
How
are
you
you?
doing?
I'm
Fine, fine. Thank you.
wonderful.
Thank you for joining us. There is an item that's kind of strapped to your chest. We're going to talk about that later, but we're going to have
Yes.
people focus. Okay. Um, you just graduated not too long ago, so congratulations are in order. You've
Thank
always
you.
been a work in progress ever since I've known you. Always like to take courses and whatnot. You've always been an achiever, but then you're a number 9, so that makes sense to me. Um,
Yeah.
but now you are a mindset coach. And then also you are a self-love and self-care educator. So I've got some questions about what led you to these things, if you don't mind. First of all, your title is Alicia Marie Rivers,
Yes.
mindset coach. What is a mindset? I think of a mindset about attitude or the way you think, or what are you talking about?
It's all about how you think. And with mindset coaching, it's helping you change your mindset. But with me, it's through thoughts because I believe that our thoughts, they're the cornerstone to how we feel. So when you change your thoughts, you can change your feelings and your behavior because our thoughts is what influences your feelings and your behavior. So with your mindset, it's all about changing those thoughts or monitoring those thoughts to help you be the best that you can be by again changing that internal dialogue so it's more positive as opposed to negative. So I'm all about the mindset.
Mm-hmm. So I guess it's the attitude of how you go into a situation, whether it's a job interview, whether it's a first date, or whatever the case is. I guess is how your mind works. And it's so interesting. Why is it that the mindset is so more appropriate now that you even got where you specialize in coaching people in their mindset? Because people say, well, there's nothing wrong with my mind.
That's true. And it's not a question of something being necessarily wrong. What it is, especially today, we're in a climate that with COVID, with what's going on with Roe versus Wade, everything that's going on in our society, sometimes those negative thoughts, that negativity, that fear of what's going on in the world and whatever's going on in a person's life, be it, a change of occupation, loss of income. I have a lot of friends that are now empty nesters. So it's about
They're
taking their
now empty. What? They're empty. What?
empty empty nesters. So
Oh, would that
they
mean
no
they
longer,
nested by themselves?
yeah, they're now by themselves. The kids are off in college or they're off doing their own thing. And now you
Okay.
have mothers and fathers there. They have another goal now. It's like, okay, I've raised the kids. Now what? Because they don't have that additional um, goal or that additional, like, okay, I need to do this for my kid, I need to do that, because now the kid or kids are no longer in the home. So it's about now, okay, it's in me, this is different for me. So now how do I go about my life? What do I do with my life right now, because it's not centered around my kid? So now it's about me. Okay, so what do I want now? And it's
Mm-hmm,
not about,
mm-hmm.
okay, bills, or I got to take care of this, or I got to take care of that. Now it's truly about the individual. So now the mindset changes. So how do I come from, okay, being the provider, being the supporter, being the motivator, inspirator, whatever that role is for that particular parent? What is it now for me? And in this day and age, with Roe versus Wade, with the assaults that are going on, and so many other things that are going on in the world today, there's a lot
Mm-hmm.
of fear. People are more aggressive. So, what's the mindset now? We have to take the doubt out. And one way to do that is to change your thought. And by doing that, you have to monitor the thought and ask yourself, why am I feeling this way?
Okay.
Where is this coming from?
But you know what's interesting, Alicia? Talking
Tell me.
about the mindset and the craziness, because I was looking at something briefly where a sister that worked together in a subway shop, the guy shot and killed the employee, one of the sisters, because of too much mayonnaise on the sandwich.
I was just telling a friend of mine about
I
that. I
mean,
said, really?
really, really,
Right, really?
and I mean, it's like, I mean, and not only that, but I've heard of other things where the person didn't deliver something fast enough and shot them. I mean, is that why a mindset coach is coming into existence? And then it begs the question too. Well, what on the other side of the age scale, where you have young people, say 18 to 20 or up until maybe 30s, that don't quite have an idea where they're going or whatever? Shouldn't they consult you in a mind coach way too, to begin to set their minds to work toward goals and objectives, whether it's family or relationships or whatever the case is? No.
Absolutely. Because with our mindset, oftentimes we get caught up in negative thoughts such as doubts, fears, and a lot of it comes from our childhood, things that we've been conditioned to believe. And also in this day and age of social media, if you're a young lady or a young guy, you're looking at social media, you're looking at people that you follow, be it celebrities or whomever, and you're
Hmm.
looking at things, you're saying subconsciously, you're thinking, or unconsciously, you're thinking, like, wow, this is what I need to succeed. This is what I need to be liked. And a lot of bullying going on. A lot of people are being bullied online, and it's it's so sad right now. But with your mindset, instead of thinking like I'm not good enough, one of the things I do is teach to change the mindset. It's not about whether you're good enough, because you are good enough. You are good enough.
Hmm.
So these are the qualities that you have that you bring to the table. So my mindset is not, I am fearing not being, for example, I'm not like Megan the Stallion, for example. Okay, there's only one Megan the Stallion, not two. There's only one of
Mhm.
you. Who
Mhm.
are you? This
Mhm.
is what I bring to the table. And
Mhm.
that's the focal point. You're focusing on what your assets are, what your strong points are, not what someone else has. So it's not about comparing yourself to someone else. That mindset is I am powerful. I am authentic. I am grateful. I am smart. Whatever the mantra is, I am this, and you focus on that, not focusing on the negative. You're not focusing on what you don't have or what you think. It's all about what you think, not about what you think you don't have, or I should be like this person. It's not about this person. It's about you and focusing on your assets, what you bring to the table. So, as a mindset coach, it's about shifting that mindset, utilizing your thoughts.
Do
And that's a
you go ahead? I'll let you finish your thought. I'm sorry. I would just, me, I always got questions
power.
coming up.
But Lloyd,
Um,
we've known each other for so long. Really?
no, no. Here's the thing: if a person that's so interesting that you would have to get a person to be taught how to change their mindset. Do you think it's because of social media or so-called influencers that we're so busy looking to see what this celebrity or that personality is doing or that athlete or other star or whatever the case is that we lose sight of our own mindset? Is that part of it, you think?
Absolutely. Sometimes we look at someone that we follow, that we admire, for example, a Kim Kardashian, and we think that, okay, Kim Kardashian looks this way. So this is the way that I need to be. No, that's not the way that you need to be. You have to find what works for you and continue with that, because what works for Kim Kardashian is Kim Kardashian, not what works for you. The beauty, the authenticity, the whatever makes you unique in your beauty, in your sex appeal and your power, that's what you focus on. Not about what other people are following. It's not about that. It's you being authentic to who you are, whatever that is. If it's being ghetto fabulous, that's what it is. If it's being bougie, that's what it is. If it's being open and honest, pro black, whatever it is, if that's who you are and you're passionate about, be that, revel in that. That's who you are. Not comparing yourself to anybody, because the comparison is with you and you alone. Because there's only one Kim Kardashian, there's only one little Kim, there's only one Megan the Stallion. There's only one Cardi B. So whoever you are and whatever you bring to the table, that's what it is. And with mindset coaching, what I do is guide you to those thoughts and take away the doubts. We're always going to have doubts, but the doubts should come and go, not
Now,
live.
aren't there traumas that are like sometimes so deeply seated that it takes more than one or two sessions to go through this? I would imagine. No.
Yeah, now that's the other hat that I wear as an addiction counselor because sometimes addiction people look at in terms of substances like drugs and alcohol, but we can also be addicted to certain behaviors, certain feelings, certain thoughts. So when I have a client and I find out what the childhood trauma was, and a lot of it stems from our childhood because of the conditioning.
Mm-hmm.
I'll ask,
Mm-hmm.
let's talk about your childhood. Let's talk about the happy times, sad times. And I'll look at, okay, what was the mindset then? And more often than not, it was something that a parent said. It was something that a peer, a friend, or someone in their school has said that will get them to believe those thoughts that they had, or whatever that they said confirm that negativity. So what I would do is go into a hypnosis, somewhat of a hypnosis, where we find out this is what that experience was. And what I'll do is, okay, in that moment, while they're under hypnosis, in that moment, okay, what was said? Let's talk about what was said. Let's talk about your reaction. Okay, now let's implement another reaction in that moment. How does that feel? And they'll think about it as they're under hypnosis. And they'll implement what they could have said instead of what they said in that moment, or a thought that they could have had in that moment. Okay, now imagine hugging that little boy or that little girl, saying that you're okay. I am loved. I am valued. I'm appreciated.
Is
Imagine
this,
you say,
yeah, so is this where self-love and self-care comes in as an education?
yes, self
Because
love.
obviously a lot of people don't love themselves as they,
No.
you know what it's like? It's like, good morning, how you doing? Fine. Knowing good and well they're not fine. You just say it on autopilot. You know, is it somewhat like that too, to a degree?
Absolutely, because self love and self care, although there are many similarities, they're two different things. Self love are thoughts that we have. Self love is that internal dialogue that we're having with ourselves. Self care is the action, what you're actually doing to take care of yourself. Again, self love is what the internal dialogue that you're having with yourself, those affirmations, those mantras, what you think. Self care is the action. What are you actually doing to support the thoughts? And many of us, that's where the disconnect is. Because I say this, and I've said this, Lloyd, to you. We've had our conversations and we're bouncing
Hmm.
things off each other. And
Hmm.
spoken to my friends, it's about what's the internal dialogue? Because we tell on ourselves all the time. And many people are not conscious of that. Everything that you say, you are telling on yourself. You're talking about your state of mind. You're revealing past trauma. You're saying what your insecurities are. You're talking about what you want, what you desire. And it's nothing, your feelings are neither right nor wrong. It is what it is.
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
become mindful in who you are, what the traumas. And more often than not, Lloyd, we're not honest with ourselves about who we are or what we want.
Why is
And
that,
I
you
want
think?
to say it again.
Why is that you think that? Because you can't run from ourselves. So why aren't we more honest, or you know what I'm saying? Why? That's so interesting you would say that. That's almost paradoxical, not being honest with yourself, yet you can't run from yourself.
I believe more often than not, we're afraid. We're afraid of the truth. We're afraid of what someone else thinks. And I say this, and it's something that I've said repeatedly over the years. You cannot allow someone else's opinion to rent valuable space in your mind. At the end of the day, it's about what you think, not
Hmm.
what someone else thinks. It's about what you think. When you get to a point where you're pleasing everybody, that is one of the saddest states that we can be in. And I can say this authentically because I was once in that state where I wanted to please family members. I wanted to please um, individuals that I was in relationships with. And at the end of the day, I wasn't happy. It was about what made me happy, what nourished me.
Hmm. Hmm.
So part of being a mindset coach is, again, getting that mindset, changing the mindset through thoughts, pretty thoughts.
I have an interesting question too concerning addiction. For example, most people are familiar with drug addictions, alcohol addictions, not understanding there are other addictions such as food addictions, gambling addictions. Of the clients that have come to you, has there been, if let's say, if 10 people came to you with addictions, do you could say, well, most of them fall more with alcohol, more fall with substance abuse, more with food or whatever? Because there it's interesting that people get carried away on all kind of addictions that we don't think about. So what has been your most common that seems to when you deal with that, okay, this seems the most common addiction that I deal with, at least with your clientele.
The most common addiction that I've had with my clientele, I would say, it's a neck to neck race between alcohol and other
Mm-hmm.
substances such as um, marijuana,
Mm-hmm.
amphetamines,
Really? Okay.
cocaine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the what's the connector for all of them? The addiction to toxic thoughts. And a lot of that stems from, in my experience with clients, a lot of that stems from childhood trauma. And it's something that happened in childhood that had them believing that they weren't good enough, or there was a pain that was not healed in that moment that they needed to self medicate with either alcohol or another substance or toxic relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Mm-hmm.
we're taught through our family, not necessarily mother and father. It could be uncle, aunt, it could be grandmother, grandfather, or it can be peers that teach us this is love when not love is toxic. Love is freeing. Love isn't binding. It's funny, I spoke to a friend of mine the other day where she was telling me that, love hurts and she doesn't want to be in love. She's so turned off from love and she
Hmm.
asked my opinion. And initially when someone is talking to me, my function is to listen. But when she asked my opinion, I said to her, "Okay, are you sure you're ready to hear this?" And when she said she was, I said, love isn't hurt. Love isn't doubt. Love isn't sadness or anger. Love is what it is. What complicates it is the expectation, what you're looking for in the return. If you're looking for someone to love you a particular way and you're let down, it isn't the love because everyone loves differently. It's your
Mm-hmm.
expectation of that love.
Would you say that has a tie in with, say, codependent relationships, where some people feel that if they're not with somebody, they're not validated or they're not being loved? I mean, why is it so many psychological things that happen in a person's childhood? I would think children, that would be the happiest. They got toys and parks and games and this, that, and the other. You would think that would
Uh,
be the happiest time in a human being's life, the childhood.
no, unfortunately, our parents, they people do according to their understanding. And with our parents, we haven't walked in their shoes. So our parents do according to their understanding. And oftentimes there's resentment. Certainly I've had my resentment with my mother and my father. But going through therapy and going back to school and getting a skill set, education, I learned that my mother and my father did the best that they could do with what they were given. And they weren't given a lot by their parents.
Mm.
So
Okay.
they did the
Okay.
best that they could do.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of resenting them, there was a healing process where now I understand my mother and father did according to their understanding because they only did what they were taught based on what they saw, their conditioning from their parents. So here I am blaming them for something that they didn't understand. And now that I understand that,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
okay, it's time for me, instead of blaming them or feeling resentment toward them, now that I understand that they didn't have the same venues that I have, I forgive and understand, and at the same time educate and heal myself that my parents are my parents. They did the best that they could with what they had.
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Mm-hmm.
okay. Now it's time for me to heal and understand my thoughts, my needs, separate from what I was taught. Because at a certain point, we have to unlearn what our parents have taught us.
Okay.
And sometimes
Before
that's
before we
difficult.
go to the next stage, I'm sure people are curious as to what is that on your chest. And we talked about that before we go. You know how people are. They say, what's that? What's that? What's that?" Okay.
I know, and Lloyd, before, because I had so much work to do right before we met, and I said, okay, I can't hide it. And I thought about hiding it. I said, you know what? No, I'm not
No,
going to
that's
hide
why we got on, I says, okay, what's that? And are you comfortable with that? And you explained. So I'm sure since we've been on at least the first half hour, people are saying, okay, what's that? That's not no jewelry apparel or anything
it.
like that. Can
Can you
you
imagine it?
listen? Don't tell the weird things are going to be 100 years from now. What is that, if I may ask, please?
It's a heart monitor.
Okay.
So when I was born with a hole in my heart
Mm-hmm.
and it closed up. But through the years, I've had heart palpitations. And what they wanted to make sure was that I was okay. Because as you get older,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have the same stressors that I had once upon a time in my life.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to make sure I was okay. So I have to wear this heart monitor for 7 days because I've had slight heart palpitations. So they
Mm-hmm.
want to make sure that I'm okay. So I didn't hide it because I wanted to say this on your show to people that as a self educator, it's so important that we take care of ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you get to a point where you're wearing a heart monitor to make sure that you're okay, that should be a point in your mind where it's like, okay, I'm at a point where I have to wear a heart monitor for 7 days to make sure that I'm okay.
Mhm,
And in
mhm,
that moment for me, it is reassessing, okay, I have to make sure that I take care of myself. It's a reminder for me to stay on top of, and I take care of myself for the most part, but I'm human. And
mhm.
sometimes, like I had a very stressful job, as Lloyd, a very
Yep,
stressful job
yes, I do.
before,
Mhm,
dealing with
mhm,
different clients and management where I didn't agree with how they ran the place. And it was quite stressful. And at the time, I was in school as well. So it was a lot of stresses. So, with someone who was born with a hole in their heart and it closed up, I the doctors want to make sure that I'm okay. My heart is okay.
Well, you
So
know
I have
what
to
I
wait
admire
7 days.
no, but what I admire about you as a woman, women will say we men got our ego, and I say you women got your vanity, okay, which is the same thing. It's saying it another way.
I'm
But the
so happy.
point is that you were open enough to have no problems, having that where another person would have said, let me put on a wraparound neck blouse or shirt or something of that nature, and you felt so I guess that's therapeutic for you that you're being very open, honest, and forthright in your assessment of who you are and loving who you are. That's all a part of the self-care, I would take it, or self-love.
It is. And Lloyd, for a moment, when we spoke earlier, I thought, I'm not sure if I should do the show because I have this heart monitor. And I said, no, Alicia, this is the perfect place to stress self care. Take care of you. If there's anything that is stressing you in life, whatever it is, that's the moment to reassess to go, you know what? Let me back up and ask myself, what is it about this situation or person that is stressing me? What are my expectations? Forget about the person because we could complain about a person all day and say what they did, what they should have done, X, Y, and Z. At the end of the day, it's about what we have to take responsibility, what we should have done, what we could do for us. So, this heart monitor that I'm wearing and I'm exposing to everyone is a reminder to think about yourself first. What can I do to change my mindset and change the situation. I'm not stressed about anything.
And
However,
obviously, you're not embarrassed, but I think it's refreshing
no,
that you feel good about yourself, that you don't have to cover it up for self-conscious reasons or things like that. It is what they say, it is what it is. Okay.
no, and I'm going to say this, Lloyd, for the first time because usually publicly, I do not reveal too much about myself publicly, but I'm going to
Hmm.
say, as a 50-year-old woman, I've never said that publicly. As a 50-year-old woman, we have to be mindful. And I don't care what age you are, but when you get to a point at 50, there's a point in time where you go, you know what? There's certain things that I cannot tolerate because this takes away from my joy.
Hmm.
And I
Hmm.
often ask my clients, what brings you joy? Is it the laughter of little kids? Is it the sun beaming, caressing your skin? Is it the sound of um, pots banging in the kitchen? The smell of certain foods? What's your joy? And if your joy is any of those or beyond, there is no way that something like what someone says or a relationship that you're in should have you believing less than. And forgive me because I'm kind of, my voice is going in and out. That's the
Yeah.
other thing. Um, but it's about realizing what works for you.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
unfortunately, we're in this society where there's so many things to be concerned about. There's so many things that you may want to fight for. Again, I mentioned Roe versus Wade at the top of the show, and
Hmm.
that's an alarming um, thing for many people. But at the end of the day, we have to be more concerned about how we take care of how we respond to certain things, to certain events. Because at the end of the day, wearing this heart monitor, Lloyd, I have a cell phone that if
Hmm.
I faint, if I if my heart is racing, if I feel any kind of discomfort, I push a button and I either go to the doctor or the hospital because I
Really?
have to wear this. I have to wear this for 7 days. So they're monitoring my activity and how my heart is responding.
How many days are you into wearing that now?
This is day one.
Oh, you got a whole 6 days ahead of you to go.
Yeah,
Here's
seven
my
days.
7 days. Here's my thing. What happens if you are in a monitoring the heart? You know, the heart does certain things under certain conditions, like under fear. What happens if you're doing it under love and you're with a very exciting person that really makes your heart go act out of sorts? Will that be reflected too? Does that make sense?
Yes. And oh my God. Oh my God. Yes, that will be reflected.
I'm just curious. Listen. I don't know anything about that, but I would imagine your heart is a first of all, without the heart, that's a wrap anyway. But then the heart beats X number of minutes per second, the average heart, I guess, and then you have those that have had heart replacements and heart monitors and heart pacers and stuff like that. So I'm wanting to know, would your heart react with that monitor under fear or under
Yes,
stress or under excitement or under a very pleasant, intimate experience or something like that? Would the
yes,
heart do that too?
yes. It's registering everything, Lloyd. Everything.
Is that good or not good? Maybe you don't want them all up in your business.
Well, in this case, it's good for them to be up in my business because I want to make sure I'm good.
I hear that. Listen, makes perfect sense to me. Okay. Here's all of it for 7 days. Now leave me alone. All righty. So I think that's
Yes.
good. I think that's good. What led you down this path to do the work you're doing anyway, Alicia?
You know what, Lloyd? I've always been interested in empowering people, because I feel like there's not enough time or support um, that we're given to deal with the bullshit that we deal with on a day to day basis. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if you look at today, or not even today, just if you go back, women, for example, women are so disconnected.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about the sisters too, but I'll wait till you finish that thought.
So disconnected that when I started my career in magazine publishing as an assistant fashion beauty editor at Black Elegance, notice I paused on that, Lloyd.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I went, mm-hmm. So I'll leave that there. So starting out at Black Elegance as an assistant fashion beauty
That's
editor,
right. That's right. That's exactly where we met. Yeah.
um, I've seen so many things, and just in my life, going through experiences as a wife, a sister, a cousin, a friend, a granddaughter, and dealing with my own issues. My thing has always been to empower. I can't tell you how many times I've ran across women who had certain perceptions of me, and I'm going, that's not me, but it's a reflection of what your experience are.
Mm-hmm.
Unless for women, I wanted to unite women and say that, you know what, let's lean on each other. Let's, if you're feeling a certain way, here's a woman that you admire, but you have certain thoughts about the certain jealousies, or you feel a certain envy because it's something that you aspire to. It's okay to admit that to yourself. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. But at the same time, understanding that it's okay when you have those feelings, instead of thinking like, okay, I don't want to admit it. No, no, admit the feeling, admit it. I feel
Yeah.
jealousy,
I
I
hear
feel
you.
envy. But at the same time, you replace that again, going back to changing your thought, your mindset, saying to yourself, like, okay, instead of I feel this or she thinks she's this, okay, I admire that. Now, what can I do with that to enhance my own well being? Notice the word I use, well being.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you take from that and make it your own. So that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to help unite women because we're all in this together. And those that are not in it, you just leave them where they are until they get to a point where they can be. Because it's ridiculous now. Ridiculous.
Wow. I think it's amazing. It would appear like long ago a lot of things would have been taken for granted about being aware of taking better care of yourself, being aware of learning how to love yourself, because if you don't love you, who will, so to speak? And at the same time, I just think it's amazing that almost all trauma seems to start for whatever reason in the childhood phase, which I think
Mhm.
is, like what's up with the childhood? I thought that's supposed to be the happiest time. Being an adult, when you're going through various stages, yes, there are definitely peaks and pleasures and achievements and recognition. But you would think a child, before they get all messed up becoming an adult, would have the most time to be who they are, to just be free spirits, which is why I never understood why people abuse children, to be honest. Okay. But evidently, that seems to be the thing that many adults, and in fact, one of the things I tell my clients is if you have living parents, try to find out who you were or what you were about as a child, because a lot of things it appears in the childhood that affects the adulthood. Like I think with Tiger Woods, his father took him to a golf game when he was young, and he became a golfer. And sometimes it's things like that that affects us. Where I remember as a child, and I wanted to do this, and I says I want to be a lawyer, and that's what they become. So obviously, there's some important links, but the trauma part, that's kind of crazy. That's all.
It is. But you know what, Lloyd? That's just it. Sometimes we're so unaware. of the trauma that we've gone through. And that's where it's excellent to see a therapist or a counselor because they can guide you into those deep crevices of where the trauma lies or where it lives and to address it. Because more often than not, what we need is to get it out and to hug that inner child because it's the inner child that's that's acting out, that's speaking out. And most of us are not really aware of that at the time. But it's that inner child that you need to hug and to reassure. But the first and foremost, we have to address, okay, what incident caused this? And for example, for me, and if you will allow me to share,
Sure.
um, I'll never forget, I was in the going into the fourth grade, and I had this best friend that I adored, and I couldn't wait to see her. So it was homeroom, and I'm sure everyone understands when I say this homeroom. So I get to homeroom, like I see my friend Sonia. Like, yes, I'm gonna see my friend Sonia, yay! And I see her, and she's speaking with another young lady, and her whole demeanor toward me was different.
Hmm.
And I didn't understand it. And I thought she was a little mean to me, her and the young lady she was speaking to. And I came home and I told my mother, like, wow, I thought she and I were friends and she was so mean to me. Oh my God, blah, blah, blah. Right? What did I do wrong? And my mother said to me, you will never have a lot of female friends. And I'm crying, like, ooh, why? 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 And my mother said, you will never have a lot of female friends because of their perception of you. And I was crushed, crushed. And unfortunately, that played through elementary school, middle school, high school, college. And just the other day, I had a young lady say to me that, I initially thought you were conceited. I thought you were stuck up. I'm going, not at all. I'm probably the
Not
goofiest
hardly.
person
Yeah, yeah,
once
yeah,
you get to
yeah.
know me. Um, but I said, wow. And that trauma affected me where every time I would meet people, it would be a wall up because of what my mother said to me that you will never have because of someone's perception of you. And I fought against that for so long to a point where I can't fight somebody's perception of who I am
No,
because they
you
have their
can't.
own experiences. Right. So this is going back to mindset. When you change the mindset, you change the thoughts, you change your world. So with clients that I've worked with, I would say, okay, what are the thoughts that you've had? What's the conditioning that you've had? And when we get into it and we talk about and we start to address, okay, these are the thoughts, let's shift the thought. If your thought, for example, I had a client where she was she didn't like who she was because she was darker skinned. She was a darker skinned um, African American woman, and
Mm-hmm.
she felt that based on her experiences that she wasn't attractive enough because she was dark skinned.
Mm-hmm.
So with the exercises that I gave her, after those exercises, she started to see her own worth. So when she introduced those thoughts and started believing in those thoughts, she saw that she brought a lot to the table, regardless of what her complexion was. She brought a lot to the table. And it's just like beauty is like a smorgasbord of different ice creams. You have pistachio, you have butter pecan, strawberry, chocolate,
Yeah, yeah, all different flavors.
all
All
different
different textures.
flavors.
Yeah.
But if you're believing that strawberry is the most delectable, the most delicious, then guess what? You're putting that out into the universe. So that's what the universe is going to show you. But if you're putting out to the universe that there's a variety of flavors and I'm just one of them, then guess what? your thoughts change. Thus, your mindset changes and you start to see things differently. Like,
Hmm.
yes, I'm pistachio and it's wonderful. And not everyone gets pistachio, and that's cool because those that don't get pistachio, I'm not interested in them anyway.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what though? See, and it's interesting to me because even looking at your birthday suggests, as well as the numbers in your name suggest, although your mother named it for one reason, although you were in the fourth grade, so you had no sense of knowing what you would become as you went into go into womanhood. But your numbers suggest you would always get along better with the male side than the female side. Not that you don't have some girlfriends, I'm sure. Yeah, because I've the years I've known you, I've met a lot of your girlfriends as a result of knowing you over the years. But you would always still get along better with the male side than the female side. That's all. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, let's talk about your book. You authored a book, okay?
Yes.
And the book was called, let me see, let me put it on the screen here. Yeah, there it is right there. And in fact, I want to, so people can see it even more. And it is available on Amazon.com.
Amazon. Yes.
Yes,
I wrote this
Pretty
book.
Thoughts of a Hot Chick. Go ahead, tell us about the book.
I started writing this book in 2006, 2007, called The Pretty Thoughts of a Hot Chick, Foxy Little Notions for Our Mind, Bodies, and Spirits. And it's all about utilizing affirmations, mantra. I believe strongly when you start the day with, I don't care if you're in the shower, if you're on the toilet, if you're in your bed, I don't care. If you start the day with an affirmation or a mantra, I am, blah, 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 and you continue to repeat that, it goes into your psychic because at the end of the day, your unconscious, your subconscious is always listening. And that's what influences your behavior. So if you believe that you are worth it, that you are valuable, then your actions will dictate that. So with the pretty thoughts of a hot chick, there are daily, there are quotes, there are affirmations, there are mantras for you to say every day from the time you get up in the morning to the time you go to bed at night. These affirmations will seek into your brain because at the end of the day, your unconscious, your subconscious is always listening. And we kind of forget that, but that's that internal dialogue speaking to you. So if you think that you're not worthy, your internal dialogue is going to repeat that to you, and the universe is going to respond and show you things to confirm that you're not worthy. But when you have those powerful affirmations, I am this, I am that, or other affirmations such as, and I'm taking it right from the book, Lloyd,
Hmm.
right from the book.
In fact, you are working on a new edition because this was back in 2009 when you were putting it together. And
Yes.
so tell us about the forthcoming book.
I'm working on the second edition, which is an update of this book, new
Hmm.
cover, and added jewels inside. But one of the things that, and I wanted to say this quote directly from the book, if I want to be treasured, I must first believe in my worth and treasure myself.
Yeah, but see, those were, I think when people hear the title "Pretty Thoughts of a Hot Chick," they're thinking you being all cute and all that stuff. But really, can you get a couple of more quotes just randomly through the page that'll stick out about three of them?
Absolutely. First of all, being a pretty hot chick is not just about what you look like. It's how you
Yeah,
present yourself to
exactly.
the world. Because you could put on a pretty outfit, your hair could be nice, makeup nice, but if you don't believe that you have value, it's irrelevant. When you believe you have value, that's the power. Because you can say, you know what, I treasure myself. So I'm going to treasure myself in my behavior, my actions, my reactions um, are going to display that I value myself. And that's, I believe, what's missing today in terms of not valuing who and what we are. For example, going from the book again, being a
Yes.
knockout is not about what I look like, it's the way that I am. So forgetting about what I look like, and I know people are saying whatever, but forgetting about what I look like or what any other female looks like, it's how you present yourself, how you speak. Because the words you say, and I've said this at the opening of your show, we tell on ourselves all the time. So if you're a woman with your friends and you're talking about, oh, yeah, such and such said I was cute and blah, 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 what you're displaying is there's a certain insecurity because it doesn't matter what such and such said about you. Do you believe that you're a hot chick? Do you believe you're attractive? Do you believe that you're smart? Because if not, then you're just seeking that validation from outside, from external factors, as opposed to within.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to believe that you bring a lot to the table. You have to believe you're attractive. I remember listening to Kevin Samuels, and God bless his soul. Lloyd, did you ever listen to Kevin Samuels?
I've listened to quite a few of his shows. I understood at first when I would hear snippets, I had a misunderstanding. But then when I started listening to his shows in its entire context, I don't see what the problem was, to be honest with you. No. Yeah. I like Kevin Samuel. Not a problem.
I wish we had time to debate this.
Well, maybe we will next time. Maybe
Right?
we'll
Well,
next time. But I
well,
think to be honest with you, he was just see a lot of they talk about how he beat up on women, but what people most fail to understand for the life of me is for the 5 years he dealt with men, and he was
yeah.
very, very hard on the brothers. But I don't hear no
Yes, it
comments
is.
on that. So I just saying let us have a balance up in here. That's all. So anyway, go ahead. Your point though.
Okay, so someone had introduced me to Kevin Samuels, and I listened to a couple of videos, and I thought, okay, this guy, and I'm going to say this frankly, this guy's an asshole, such and such. But when I truly listened to him, I thought that his delivery wasn't good. It was it was basically putting down women as opposed to uplifting him because he could have said it in different ways. Granted, there were certain things that women said that made me cringe because again, like I said, we tell on ourselves all the time. So you
Hmm.
have to be mindful of the internal dialogue, which again comprises of what you've been conditioned to believe. And some of that is there's, some mental health issues with that. And that's something we can discuss later. However,
Hmm.
with Kevin Samuels, there were certain things that he said that was on point, and there were some things that he said that were a little um, not kind
I would
toward
say
women.
direct and honest. You know, it's interesting, Alicia. I've noticed nowadays, if one is very truthful and honest, like you got the kind of numbers in your birthday where you're straight no chaser. Well, I would say if you don't want
Yes.
to hear the truth, don't come and talk to you.
That's
And
why I
so
said,
what happens nowadays, I mean, you're sweet, of course. Don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is nowadays it appears if you are very honest and very direct with people, it's interpreted as being mean. I don't get that. The
and
truth
it's not
is
me.
the truth is the truth. Everybody's got their own style of how they say something. You got people that can be very diplomatic, like Lloyd Strayhorn, okay? Or you got people that's like, yo, tell you where to go with no problems whatsoever and don't even blink an eye about it. Everybody's got somebody in the family member that if you don't want to really hear it, you're going to go talk to Uncle Louie or Aunt Susie because they go to tell it. And there was a famous song that both our mothers probably like called Tell It Like It Is, okay?
Yes.
Where you don't beat around the bush, you come straight at it. And so, I guess things have changed nowadays, but when I notice when you're honest, people think you're mean. So I don't get
But
it.
that's not me. Well, as long as the intent isn't to harm a person or make a person feel bad. If the
Exactly.
intention is you ask me a question, I'm answering your question. And Lord forgive me because a lot of things that I look at movies, documentaries, and so forth, because there are so many lessons and things. But there was an episode of Girlfriends with Tracy Ellis Ross and her other cohorts. But she asked her boyfriend in this one particular episode, "Okay, rate me," because they were talking about rating women, being a 10, 9, 8, and so forth. And her boyfriend rated her a 5 and gave her ass a half, so a 5.5. And she was upset about that. Like, what? Like, okay, if Halle Berry's a 10 and I'm a 5.5, but she put so much emphasis on that. And it was just speaking physically. And I say, and Kevin Samuels did the same thing basically. He would say to women, okay, rate yourself. You can't use 7 because many women use 7.
Yeah, that
And women are
7 is the
saying
lucky
8.
number with things. Okay, it's always a lucky
Right,
number.
right. And women are saying 8. And he's like, okay, if you're saying you're 8, that's Beyonce 8. So really? And then if they said 9, no, Brianna's a 9. You're not a 9. And I say, fuck, forgive me,
Oops,
Lord,
oops, yep,
forgive me.
yep.
The rating
See, that's that
system.
9.
Yes, forget the rating system.
Mhm.
What you for you? Who are you? What do you bring to the table for you? Forget about a dude or a woman. What do you bring the table for you? This rating system can be misconstrued because everyone has their preferences. That's the other thing. And on the show Girlfriends, Jones' boyfriend had his preference. Halle Berry was his 10. So anything after that would obviously be 9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
Mhm.
So
Well,
you
I
have to
saw one where the woman said she was a 12 and meant that thing too, although she looked like no 12 to me. But
Lloyd.
can we be honest here? I mean, she wasn't bad, but I don't think she was a 12, okay? And especially if the scale's only going to 10, I gave her credit because at least her mindset, since we opened up the show with mindset coaching, was at least she thought she was a 12. Okay. So
And
other
that's good.
people might disagree. So, that's the only thing I can say. But as people put rankings, they also put people in the categories. Well, that person's short, this fat, tall, he's good looking. So we either use it's all semantics. All of it is semantics. Okay, to
It
me.
is.
And so I think gets a rise out of people. I am no relationship expert, but most of the majority of my clients over the decades I've done this has always been females, which I find most interesting in the things they share with me. So I do understand, but it's either a state of mind and then there's sometimes like some of us men too. We men think we're all of that and we're not. And I don't know we do it just as an ego to kind of offset our insecurities that we do things. But we're going to have you back to do a part 2 in the fall so we can do this because I keep hearing this thing nowadays. What do you bring to the table? I bring me to the table. There's so much going on with all of these things nowadays that I think this deserves a second go around. But believe it or not, it's amazing. We're almost up on the hour, but I want to make sure I want to put on the banner because you do consulting. Am I correct?
Yes, I do. Again, it's about changing the mindset because it's about being the best that you can be. This is your life. You get one chance at this, one chance. So if you're feeling doubtful, if you're in a relationship that isn't working and you feel stuck and you can't get your way out, this is where mindset coaching, because it's about changing those negative thoughts to that powerful, those positive thoughts to help guide you out of being stuck, because feeling stuck is like being in quicksand where you feel like you're getting somewhere but you're really not. And with mindset coaching, it's about helping you change those negative, those toxic thoughts. And oftentimes, and I'm speaking to my ladies, you're in a relationship and you feel that and we're speaking unconsciously, okay? When you feel unconsciously or subconsciously that you can't get out of this relationship, or you feel that this is the best that you can do. And this is you and I here. You feel like this is the best that you can do. Those are toxic thoughts. It is not the best that you can do. This guy, this woman knows that. So it's about you figuring out what you want and knowing your worth, because you have so much worth than what you believe. So we have to go back to what is it that failed you, where you think that you're not worth something better, that you're worth being spoken to a certain way, that you feel that you're worth being treated a certain way. And when I say that, I'm saying that obviously in your actions, if it's something that you're accepting, then obviously you're accepting the fact that this is how you should be treated, that you're worthy of this and you're not. So, mindset coaching is about, again, changing those thoughts, because that's the foundation of our beliefs. Our thoughts are the foundation of our beliefs. And once you change that, once you change your mindset, you can change your world. So that's what I'm passionate about as a mindset coach, as a self love, self care educator, as a certified life coach, as an addiction counselor. And all of us have addictions. The
Yeah, to
question is,
one degree or another. Sweet
right.
something. We got something that we're addicted to, although we don't think of it like that. But I want to make sure this is your contact number where people can approach you, 917-781-3701.
Yes, if you want a consultation, a free consultation, and we can talk about it and move forward from there, 917-781-3701. Or you can also email me at aliciamarienyc@aol.com. Yes, I'm still using AOL, and that's okay. aliciamarienyc@aol.com. Yes, I'm using that. Those that want to um, contribute in some kind of way, you can do that, and I'd be highly appreciated. But a dollar sign, pretty hot chick, that's my cash app.
Yeah,
But I'm
that's
also
just your cash app. So please make donations because
yes,
Alicia Marie Rivers, just like all of my other guests, especially the women, stepped out here on faith. They don't have no parachutes, no cushions. They all have decided to do something that takes them down a path that very few people, much less men, would take, to be honest with you. And so for that
yes,
alone, especially when it comes to the women, my thing is show love with the cash app. Yes, what was you about to
yes.
say?
No, I want again, it's about empowering us women. For too long, it's we've been pitted against each other historically. We've been pitted against each other. It's about taking this moment and embracing. And even if there's a young lady that you're not, for whatever reason, her energy or whatever, that's fine. But let's stop, forgive me, knocking each other down. And it's about uplifting each other. If there's a young lady that you feel threatened, and yes, ladies, I said threatened because when you break it down, it's about threatened. When you feel threatened, that's when you have to do the internal dialogue. Why do I feel this way? Okay, let's address that. Let's take, what is it that you admire, you secretly admire about that person? How can you manifest that in yourself so you can be the best that you can be? That's what I'm about. Empowering women, empowering people to be the best that they can be, because it's only one life that we have, one life that we get.
Now, Alicia, you said women were pitted against other women, you're saying?
We've
Well,
been
let me
pitted
tell you,
against each other for centuries.
yeah, but let me say this. It seems even more so, which is to the detriment of both male and females, especially in our communities, that we've been pitted against each other and we're both going to wind up being losers. Because I need you
Right.
as I would like to think you would need me. And there's a reason why God made me with this, God made you with that, and that we complement each other as against being at each other's throats and whatnot. I don't get it. I would like to think we can't do without each other, but that might be Pollyanna for whatever people say, but I think I've been around long enough to know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying?
I agree.
Yeah. So anyway, hold up. I will need to show people your book again. please get her book. Okay. It's Pretty
Yes,
Thoughts of a Hot Chick, right? From
yes.
Amazon.com. And I remember when this came out in 2009, where you made appearances here in Harlem and elsewhere. So, and it's still there, available. And in fact, I took this image off of Amazon.com today, which means it is still there. So go there and order your book. Please support her, as you see on her banner, which is very important there. And let's call up for consultations too, 917-781-3701. So, Alicia,
Yes.
I'm going to let you go, but I'm going to take a minute to let people know what is coming up for this. And then I'll give you a call later to see and say thank you. And thanks for your honesty about the heart monitor and everything. Because I know people like, what is that she got on? They know it wasn't a piece of cake. You know how y'all
Yes.
do. So,
Um, Lord, if you'll allow me for a moment, I just want to
please do.
say, please take care of yourselves. This heart monitor is about me taking care of myself and making sure that my heart is okay so I can wear this proudly because that's a form of self care. Making sure you make the doctor appointments and you adhere to what your doctor or your nurse practitioner says to make sure that you can be the best that you can be. And the second edition of Pretty Thoughts of a Hot Chick, it will be with new jewels as well as the old jewels. But at the end of the day, it is about self care, self love, and us being the best that we can be. Because in the state that we're in now, in our society, with all of the aggression, with the doubt, with the violence, it's about us finding that serenity and us being okay with who we are and finding ways to be the best that we can be authentically.
Well, I would say those old jewels, as you claim in your book, Pretty Thoughts of a Hot Chick, still has relevance today, except you
Yes,
just gonna now take it to a 2.0 or 3.0 or whatever the next stage is. Alicia Marie Rivers, thank you so much, honey. I really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we'll talk and we'll have you back on in your birthday month of October to do stage two, because I want to know what is it that women have a problem with apologizing. I mean, I had a client
oh,
that told me seriously, she says, that she was wrong, but she didn't tell her man that she was wrong. Why not? I mean,
no, see,
w-
no, no,
no,
no,
no.
no. We have to
We'll,
admit when we fuck up, okay?
yeah, well, there's a lot of things that I think both men and women can work on, so there's better harmony between the two, as against these so-called gender wars. I don't know who made that up, but somebody that don't have our best interests at heart. I can tell you that, because that's not the way it should be. We should be complimenting each other, which is the way God has made it. Most animals complement each other, okay, in the animal kingdom. And since we are made in its highest form, you would think we'd act a little bit more civilized toward one another. And my attitude with women, as far as I try to tell them from my experience, for a man, it is important that you give him respect. Simple. Even us men will say respect, respect. I walk here in Harlem, I hear brothers say respect, respect. And so there's things we're going to talk about in round two in the fall, definitely. And then
You're
we'll
right.
bring all those skill sets to there. Comment, please.
Well, I just wanted to say, in order to get respect, you have to give respect. You have to love yourself and show that in order to be it to be reciprocated. Let me just say
you
that.
mean you mean that the person within has to give themselves respect and in so it can give without? Is that what you're
Yes,
saying?
you have it, yes, it's clear when you don't love yourself because if you don't love yourself, you do a lot of self-harming, self-destruction. And that shows in your relationships and how you treat people. So you can't say that you want respect and love when you're not loving and respecting yourself because people follow behavior.
Okay.
People
Okay.
follow behavior.
All right.
Just
Well,
saying.
listen. That's why you the mindset coach. Okay, the self-love and self-care coach and educator and
Yeah,
whatnot. But we're gonna talk about this more, because there's been all kinds of conversations on both sides of the spectrum about this, from the male side, the female side, when we all really need to come together as one, That's how the Creator put you here for a reason, put me here for a reason, so we can make some things happen. Feel me? That's all I'm
Yeah.
saying. Okay, good enough. Alicia, thank you so much, hon. You take good care of yourself and bless you, bless you. And everybody, I'm going to explain what is happening for this Wednesday. This Wednesday, I'm going to have a special guest on. All my guests are special as far as I'm concerned. Thank you. And it is Mama Mystic. Mama Mystic hasn't been on here since the 10th of January. So it's been a minute. So I've had other people back on, but I haven't had Mama Mystic back on. But something happened. We spoke, and she was gracious enough to fill in the slot for this Wednesday, which I greatly appreciate because I couldn't have another better person around. I want to let you know that today through Wednesday, all of my courses are now on sale. Okay. You see how they rate each of the courses that were done. I'll start at the bottom. The first course came out in February of 2020, Learn from Lloyd How to Read a Person Like a Book. It was listed as bestseller coming out the gate, and over 2 years from that point, in February of 2020, you see it's still listed as a bestseller. So for all the students and the reviews, I thank you very, very much. Then next after that, in November of 2020, I then came out with Learn from Lloyd, the next step in numerology. And as you see, that's still considered the highest rated. So then this month, early this month, Jackie Levine and I got together and we teamwork and partnered on Learn from Lloyd, the do's and don'ts in numerology. And this is going to be a hot topic too. And already it's considered hot and new. So these are ratings that I did not give myself. It is very nice to see, and it is just a confirmation to the validity and the accuracy and the popularity of numerology and astrology. All these courses are on sale. Now, here's the reason why I said that, because last week, if you look at the prices, okay, folks, I'm going to tell you what it was last week. Um, Last week, as you see, it was this. And actually, as you see, the prices were lower. But if you fool around, that's what I tell you. With inflation and you want to save some money, you need to jump on this. It's a on demand, which means you go at your own pace. In order to sign up, you go to Lloyd LLOYD dash Strayhorn STRAYHORN. That's Lloyd dash Strayhorn.com, and that's where you sign on. So that was last week's, and then you fool around. They jacked it up a little bit, but it's still affordable where you can get all three and save yourself over a little 200 and something odd dollars. So there's no excuse for those that are trying to cut costs with these inflationary times and yet learn an ancient African science. This is the time to grab a hold of this and go at your own pace. Learn about yourself, things that I do. I know it seems miraculous when I read people, but that's because I've been doing this a long time. But the nice part about it is you can too, with a little application and study, which is why Jackie and I came out with this last one, the do's and don'ts, so you can be good at this. And learn the things not to do so you don't wind up embarrassing yourself and getting your feelings hurt because people are something else. Also, I'll let you know that this is the course that each of you, regardless which of the courses you take, will get a certification showing that you completed the course. And this, for what's left, this is June newsletters. So go to my website, Lloyd-Strayhorn.com. That's Lloyd-Strayhorn.com. Or I have a colleague that co-writes this with me, Kaya French, Kyafrench. So get it over here or get it over there because July will be out soon. So I think that's it for everybody. So I want to thank everybody. Hold up. Let me do this. Okay, good. And let me do this. Everybody, I want to thank you very, very much. I want to thank you for Alicia Marie Rivers for an engaging conversation. Um, and give us your feedback. Like, share, subscribe. Okay, I'm trying to get the hang of it. Oh. I knew there was something. There's a thing I'm on called Super Chats, and Johnny Boy, Khalil Smith, Elizabeth Mordaunt, Alex Tom, Frank Williams, and tonight Landre Bradley. They all made a little contribution to Super Chats, as they call it. I'm getting the hang of all of this, but I'm deeply appreciated. And the fact that you would subscribe, the fact that you would share, and the fact that you would like the show, genuinely, thank you, thank you, thank you. It has grown, although I'm not super concerned about those particular numbers as so much as the numbers that help guide you to be better. And don't forget, I started last Monday. We're going to have a get rich situation where I want everybody to think in terms of empowering themselves with plenty of richness, which you are divinely entitled to. So, to get out of that limited thinking of limited resources and limited opportunities, because sky is the limit once you say, aim your minds to the heavens. Okay. So, all of you got it. Every single one of you got it. And so, don't lose it. Think about it. And so, everybody, thank you very, very much. This was a very interesting day. And um, I look forward to Wednesday. Okay. And I have on my special guest, Mama Mystic. That should be a lot of fun. Everybody, have a nice day. Until then.